Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the March 11th work session. At this time, we'll go through the legislation that will be on the agenda at our voting meeting, which will follow after this. At that time is when the public will call in. Just wait till I say so. I think we're good.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, before the mayor presents his agenda, council has two new items. First one is a resolution that the City Council of the City of Wilkes-Barre hereby appoints Catherine Payne as the City Clerk of the City of Wilkes-Barre effective April 5th. And an ordinance for first reading amending the traffic control map pursuant to Chapter 29 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Wilkes-Barre entitled Traffic and Motor Vehicles. That's for the 3 permanent stop signs at the intersection of Maple and North Main Streets. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor?
Good evening. First resolution authorizing the proper city officials to take any and all necessary actions related to the sale of 101-103 Westminster Street to Michael Slusser for a designated purchase price of $400. You may recall, especially Councilman Velisco, this was a property that was really just ready to fall down. So we demolished it, and it is right behind Mr. Slusser's home. And when it went up for sale, it was posted on the city website. Mr. Slusser made a bid, and that's what it was appraised at. So we're selling it to him for the appraised amount of $400 with your permission. So it's going to be back on the tax rolls. Secondly, authorizing the proper city officials to purchase rock salt necessary for 21-22 winter seasons pursuant to the terms of a previously bid contract. As you can see from this year, we went through a lot of rock salt, seems like every other day. So this is replenishing the rock salt supplies. Thirdly, I am asking for your support in appointing William Murtha to the Fire Civil Service Commission. Mr. Murtha is a retired assistant chief with, I believe, about 30 years experience in fire department. Next is that you would, city officials are hereby authorized to convey the property identified as property identification number 73H9SE2026005 to the Parking Authority of the City of Wilkes-Barre. This is cleaning up some paperwork. The Parking Authority has always maintained and kept the property. They've donated and given up property for the new hotel project. So this is just retitling some of the property that was always in their management. And lastly, whereas H&N Investments LLC is preparing to move forward with the development of the hotel project, the location of the former Hotel Sterling, the corner of West Market, North River Streets. An addendum to the agreement of sale and the recorded deed contain 2 repurchase options exercisable by the City of Wilkes-Barre. Whereas the condition required in repurchase option A has been satisfied by H&N Investments. Whereas H&N Investments is in the process of securing financing related to the final construction of the project. And whereas repurchase option B is a cloud on the title of the property and prospective lenders are requesting it be removed for financing the construction of the project. Now therefore be it resolved that the proper city officials are hereby authorized to take any and all necessary actions related to removing the cloud on the title to the property so H&N Investments can secure construction financing, enter into a development agreement with H&N Investments related to the project's timeline. Upon your approval, as this is moving on, we're hoping that we'll start breaking ground in August. And this is going to be a wonderful project. We're hoping about 18 months. So we're going to have hopefully 2 beautiful projects coming in, 2 new hotels.
Wonderful.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions or comments for the mayor?
I do have just a quick question, Mayor. On the rock salt, do you know how much we have left?
No, and unfortunately, Butch couldn't be here tonight.
Okay.
I know that we did go through the rock salt we had to repurchase, we had to get some more in. It was just a horrendous January and February, especially February. I think it was a record-setting February, or close to it. So I don't have how much tons and stuff.
Okay, thanks.
If that's important, Councilman, I can get it for you tomorrow.
No, I just want to know if you knew it off the top of your head,
No,
that's all.
I wouldn't know that.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully, we won't use any of it from now on.
That's right.
I just have one question. Regarding the Sterling property, do we have an estimate of when building permit fees will be pulled for that? For the Sterling property, the building permits, when they would be pulled for that, and when could we expect that?
I don't have that, but maybe it'll secure that. We have that door gallery.
Okay.
So, we have,
Who's behind door number 1?
yeah, I'm sure you can answer any questions.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Appreciate everybody's
Hello,
time
George.
this
Hello.
afternoon.
How you doing?
Councilwoman Friday, question.
Yes.
When can we expect building permits to be pulled for the Sterling property?
We're anticipating breaking ground between August and September of this year, so we'll probably begin the building permit process in July.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Albert? Good. Thank you, George. All right. We good? Questions?
You want to do council presentations?
Yes, council presentations. Thank you, Ms. Payne. Councilman Belusko?
Mayor, just a quick question. Now that the federal government has approved the 1.9 trillion stimulus package, we will be applying, I'm sure, for monies lost as we can, correctly? Am I correct?
Yeah, Mike, we've been in contact with Congressman Cartwright, Senator Casey, and even Senator Toomey. This has been going on for a whole year, asking them for some type of reimbursement, for the monies that we've lost. We don't have an indication yet the exact amount we're going to get because they just signed it today. So I'm hoping to find out what we're going to get, and then that way we can hopefully backfill the loss that we had last year. But that's not finalized yet. But yeah, we've been, at least a half a dozen meetings with the congressman and the senator, and I'm optimistic because they fought for us. They really did, Mr. Cartwright.
Is this an application type thing?
It's everything has been applied.
So you put in
for.
everything we lost?
We started this initiative last year, hoping that there would be a bailout from the federal government. So, no, we don't have to do any formal application right now. We're just waiting to see if we get something, how much it'll be.
Is Congressman Cartwright expecting like hundreds of thousands or make $1 million? Or we don't have any idea?
We have no definitive answer to that.
Okay. All right, thanks.
As soon as,
It's a little early. I know it's a little early.
yeah, as soon as I find out, council will be the first to know.
Thank you, George.
Sure.
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay. Councilman Marconi?
Yeah, I just have just a couple comments. I just want to thank Charlie, Butch, and the mayor for having DPW clean up sections of North Main Street a few days ago. I was driving up. I had a meeting with the mayor on Monday, and I said, who cleaned up North Main Street, certain sections? And of course, the mayor responded, it was DPW. They did a wonderful job. So I just want to, a couple shout outs to them as well. And also, I sent an email out to Charlie and Butch about the access road, also known as Biscontini Road. There's 4 or 5 mattresses up there. And I asked if they're able to take care of that. And within 24 hours, that was picked up too. So I do want to thank all the administration and also DPW. Again, I do want to give a shout out to those guys. They work very hard, and their work does not go unnoticed. Also today, I had Officer Roper meet with myself and one of my neighbors who wanted to donate to the canines today. And Officer Roper came up and took the presentation. Neighbor's name is Mr. John Reese. He gave a very generous donation. And I just want to thank Mr. Reese for that donation, and also Officer Roper. Very, very professional, very, very knowledgeable. Just an asset to our company. I'm sorry, an asset to our city. I just wanted to give a couple shout outs on that. And I was going to ask for a follow-up on Central Lane update. There's a street sign that I asked, if we can have erected. I think it was last week. I know Butch isn't here. I don't know if you guys have any information on that.
No, we don't.
Okay.
But we can get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
And in response, we've been trying to get the street sweeper out and doing cleanup, since the weather broke. I know, Beth, we were working on Northampton Street yesterday, and we're trying to get it out. Mike, we were in your area.
I spoke with the Long Valley Sanitary Authority on it. They are set. They have a date set. I think Butch is aware of it.
Yeah, the sanitary authority is going to let us borrow 4 street sweepers so that we can hit, different parts of the city. But this week when the weather broke, we put the guys right out in the sweeper. And so we're trying to hit that, and we're hitting the streets too. Mike, is it okay if I elaborate a little bit?
Correct.
Mike, there's a problem down on Wood Street, on the corner of Wood and Westminster, and Wood and Hanover. Pennsylvania American Water is actually going to be working on that. It's an issue. They'll be there tomorrow morning, and they'll be addressing that, because when you go over it, it's a high bump.
It's
So
bad.
that's going to be addressed tomorrow morning.
Oh,
by the
good.
Pennsylvania American Water Company. And we're trying to hit as many of the potholes as we can.
Thank you, Mayor.
So just real quickly too, just touching base on the street sweepers. Tis the season coming up. If we can, I don't know how we're able to do this, but if we can post signs, a few days before, just so these cars get off of the curb, so we can get it done correctly. I know last year there was a little bit of confusion, but if you guys can think about that and post a sign so we can get these vehicles off the curb. So
Yeah, we did have that last year. I think, Beth, in your area, you made her.
John, I talked to Long Valley Sanitary Authority. They are going to post.
okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Sure. Councilwoman McBride?
A couple of things, regarding the street sweeping. As long as you're going to be posting the streets as you're doing them, I think that's really key. I did have a few residents on East Northampton Street reach out to me. They were happy that it was done, but they just wish they would have known so that the cars would have been moved. So if that could be
We'll
done.
do a better job on that.
Okay, thank you. And then, what else do I have? Are we going to be having park attendants in the park this year? In different parks throughout the city?
We haven't discussed that.
Okay,
That's something we have to look at. I don't know financially what we're going to do, so
okay,
if you can, maybe in the next meeting in 2 weeks, I can have a better idea for you.
okay,
But we haven't sat down and addressed it yet.
okay. Go ahead, are you,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
You just made something into my head. Regarding parks, if you don't mind, we are starting an initiative to, it's called Special Needs Playground Fund. I don't know if you saw that. I put together a committee of volunteers, and the volunteers on this committee have special needs, children or grandchildren, and their families. And we just had a meeting at 4:15 today. So what we're doing is we're going to raise funds, and we're going to adapt an area at Kirby Park with special needs equipment. It's expensive. I mean, like the merry-go-round might be $3,000 and, swings. But it's something that you're going to see a lot more about, a lot of advertising and stuff. We got free advertising from both newspapers, and I thank them for that. So we really want to adapt that park and make it so special needs folks can use it. So I'm sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay. Let me see my list here. The leaf vacuum truck, is that something that we could possibly have go around in the spring when the weather breaks?
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of debris on the sides of roads, and I think that would be helpful in
Absolutely.
getting that, okay.
Yep, we will do that.
Last thing, there's still issues on South Empire Street with trucks traveling that road from Solomon's. There are no truck signs posted at Solomon's and on Empire Street, so I'm not sure exactly what else can be done at this point. I do have the names of what companies are doing it though, so I could send that to Charlie and yourself if that would be helpful. Maybe just remind them personally.
Sure. We had a meeting yesterday with Mr. Solomon,
Okay,
and that was one of the things that we talked about.
okay.
So we'll reach out to those people.
Okay, I'll send you the list. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Charlie, back in the fall, I guess it was, if you recall, we told residents to put their leaves out on the tree lawns and that the city would come by and pick them up, vacuum with the vac truck. One lady put them out, as I posted on my Facebook page, to put them out there. And she said, they're out there, Mike, and a friend of mine, and she said they never came from them. They sat out there all winter. Yeah, so what am I supposed to do with it? I said, gather it up, put it in a bin, and I'll ask the city if they would come and take it. Is it a possibility we can go down there and get those leaves or yard waste, whatever?
Mike, just send us the address.
Okay,
We'll get it.
thank you. That's all, Tom.
Good, thank you. And, yeah, I have comments also on the street cleaning. I've seen them out, and I've seen some streets done very well. I did get a complaint that Hazel Street should probably be done again, because there's a lot of trash on there. And I'd also make a request if we could, but we'd have to get cars moved. There's along South River from Ross down to Academy on the right-hand side where the cars are parked. It's thickly caked in there. So we'd have to.
Usually it's a problem because the students are back in.
Yeah.
And have to move their cars for like a month at a time. So that's historically a really bad stretch there.
Or at least when the summertime comes around, the kids are gone, perhaps, you know.
We'll post it, Tony.
We'll do that.
And like Mike said, in advance of sanitary authority coming out, we'll put postings up and then we'll go from there.
Go from there,
We'll do
good.
the best we can.
And thank you for starting to fill in the potholes. The list that I turned in, I'm getting my constituents sending me text messages that it's been filled, so thank you very much for that.
And we'll be working on a list, myself, Charlie, and Butch, for street paving. Now, Tony, I'm not going to be able to pave 18 streets in your district.
No, I want them
wanna be
all.
honest with you, okay? Now, we'll work on the 150 potholes that you did, but 18 streets, I don't have the money. But anyway, we're going to start doing that, and we'll reach out to you, because everyone's provided us a list of the priorities that you want, and we'll do the best we can.
Great, thank you very much on that. Okay,
Before you adjourn,
Yes.
council agrees to have those resolutions, all except the one regarding the parking authority, added to the consent agenda.
right,
Yes.
sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me get this.
Okay, we'll adjourn. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Thank you. Roll call.
Roll call, Belishko,
Here.
Marconi,
Here.
Gilbert McBride,
Present.
Brooks.
Here.
Also in attendance is Mayor George Brown, Administrator Charlie McCormick, Assistant City Attorney Maureen Collins, IT Director Frank Hirschberger, and Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo. Tonight's meeting is a regular session of council. According to the First Amendment, this meeting is a limited public meeting. Council may establish rules and procedures per the First Amendment and the City Charter Administrative Code. The chairperson is the presiding officer of the meeting. The following are examples of important council rules. They are not intended to be a complete list. Adhere as closely as possible to the 5-minute speaker presentation time limit. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any individual member thereof. The chairperson shall preserve order and decorum and prevent attacks on personalities. The chairperson shall determine all points of order. Okay,
Good. Okay.
so now
We'll do pending legislation.
calls on, you take calls now?
Yeah. The public can call in on pending legislation now.
Please please state your name and where you're calling from.
Sam Troy, Wilkes-Barre.
Go ahead, Mr. Troy.
On the agenda, I wasn't listening to the meeting. They didn't. I want to comment on the agenda, if I may.
Go ahead.
Two items that I know of. The one is the purchase of the salt. Did that need it? Somebody could tell me. I don't assume that needed an RFP. That's the way most municipalities do it, I believe, but I would like to know if a request for proposal had to be issued for that. And I don't know the specifics of the purchase. And if Butch Fratty's in attendance, I would also like to know if there's I heard that there's some alternative. I know it's more expensive, but there was just a big article in the newspaper about the pollution in the Susquehanna River, mostly from plastic. But the salt, rock salt, as you know, is a terribly terrible pollution source of water in the rivers. I know people, you have to have it because it does help. You got to have clean roads when it snows and all, when the weather's bad. But on the other hand, from what I understand, there is an alternative salt that is kinder to the environment, less detrimental. And I wonder if the city could possibly look into that and perhaps maybe make, I don't know, let's say 20% of the total purchase, the total amount of salt needed with the environmentally friendly salt, if there is such a thing, which I assume there is. And also on the acquisition, the selling of that parcel of land on, Westminster Street, I was hoping that the city would keep that for a park of some kind. We never have enough parks, recreation in this area. But I guess that's not to be the case. I just think that the price, I assume, given forth by Mr. Anstead of $500, I think that's, I don't know I know the condition of land is not great. I know it's probably zone residential and so forth and not a great location, whatever, but $500 seems like a drop in the bucket. If somebody could answer my comments or questions on these items, I would certainly appreciate it. That's all I have. Thank you.
RFP for salt, that was,
I think in the resolution, Butch isn't here, but I think in the resolution, that was an outstanding pre-bid salt contract.
okay, Mr. Troy, there was an outstanding pre-bid for the salt contract. I'll convey your wishes for DPW for Butch Friday to look into perhaps an environmentally friendly alternative to salt. And yes, while I may agree with you that parks are wonderful, the sale of this land, though, puts it back on the tax rolls. And I think my colleagues would agree with me that we need to get as much back on the tax rolls as possible.
Tony, we have 18 parks in the city also.
And we do already have 18 parks. Thank you.
That would be a good place for a park.
Yeah, that's true, too.
There's absolutely no parking there at all.
Okay, thanks. Next call.
Hi, please state your name and where you're calling from.
This is Bob Kalabowski, and I'm actually sitting on the roof of City Hall right now. But I need to ask a question before I go into my presentation. I want to know what's going on with the city clerk position before I could comment, because I don't want to make any false accusations or anything. What is going on with the position?
We'll answer your question when you're done, Mr. Kalabowski.
But Tony, I can't talk till I know what's going on with it. If you could just tell me what's going on with it.
We just had a presentation about it, Mr. Kalabowski.
I can't, Tony, there's like a real bad echo here. What are you saying?
I said we just had a presentation about it. Ask your questions, we'll answer them.
Where was the presentation?
During the work session.
I didn't hear it. What are you doing with this position? Is it true that Kathy is going to get the position? And is it true that we're giving her a $20,000 raise? And this is nothing against Kathy. She's a very nice person. But I want to know, is that true that you're giving her a $20,000 raise and then there's going to be no more overtime? So if there's no more overtime, does that mean that something was wrong, that you were giving them the overtime that they shouldn't have got? And I would like to ask you, is she going to be appointed tonight, or is this going to be posted so other people who may be more qualified could get it? or is this more of the political privilege of what's going on with the city council? Now, I want to know, is she getting a $20,000 raise? And about this overtime, was I correct in saying they shouldn't have got overtime? And are you going to give somebody, is this going to be posted so somebody else could have a chance at this? And also, I want you to understand, and I'm be very cautious with this. You give her a $20,000 raise, in another year from now, she'll retire, and she'll get a pension of about $50,000 a year because it'll be based on that higher salary. And she's ready, and most City Hall employees are going to leave once this healthcare thing fits in that we're not going to pay it no more. So I want to know, what are you going to do? Is this going to be posted? Why, or why wasn't it posted? And what are you telling everybody else in City Hall that they're not having a chance at this? And I also want to know, what degrees does Kathy have, or what are the qualifications to be this? Because if you council approve this tonight, a $20,000 raise, especially you, Tony, tell the senior citizen up there that's living on $800 a month how you could give Kathy a raise probably about $400 a week. How do you justify giving somebody $400 a week? You had the mayor take a salary decrease. I think his administrator took a salary decrease, not taking the health care. So everything that the mayor saved us and his administration saved us, between you taking your buyout, Mike taking his health care, and the $42,000 that Beth cracked on us last year, that's why this city is going broke. And why can't we have this salary lowered on this? I mean, to give somebody a $20,000 a year raise is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if you approve this, it's just another slap in the face to the taxpayers. We're almost ready to go to Act 47. And yet you're passing out a $20,000 a year raise. That's $400 a week, or over $400 a week. So I'd like you to justify this, how you could, if you approve this, I want you to justify this.
Okay, Mr. Kalabowski, thank you. Is that good? Yeah, so we are saving money on the city clerk by $10,000. We're saving money on the assistant city clerk, which will be posted according to the collective bargaining agreement with the city's non-uniform union laborers local 310. And we're saving another $10,000 on overtime. So that's a total savings of $30,000 annually for the taxpayers. I think we can be pretty proud that we will do that and shave off $30,000 annually from the city council's budget. As for qualifications, I think all of my colleagues will agree that nobody will be able to beat 29 years experience in the job, and we're really appreciative that Kathy is staying on because we will have a seamless transition, and then we will post the assistant city clerk job as well. Any other calls?
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, Jason Carr, Mount Bethel, Pennsylvania. I just wanted to agree with Mr. Troy that that piece of land for $400, the mayor and Councilman Brooks, the chairman, Councilman Brooks, brought up a great point that that property is going to go back on the tax rolls, and the city will see a net amount of $26 from a property assessed at $400. So great job, Mayor. Thank you so much, Mr. Brooks, for taking care of that. Good job. Secondly, as Mr. Kalabowski stated, it's an absolute disgrace that the city's paying the city clerks $75,000 for a position that warrants no more than $50,000. And another joke being played on the taxpayers right now is that there's going to be an assistant city clerk to the tune of $45,000 plus benefits being approved. And of the 14 largest cities in Pennsylvania, there's only 3 cities that have assistant city clerks, and that's Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and of course it has to be Wilkes-Barre, because we have so much money that it really doesn't matter to the taxpayer. The mayor continues to spend money that's out of control, and I don't know how we can afford this.
To respond to Mr. Carr's about other assistant city clerks, other cities do have assistant city clerks. For example, Scranton has one, Allentown has one, Lancaster has one. The city clerk in Allentown, assistant city clerk in Allentown makes $68,000. Their clerk makes $96,000. When doing my research about other city clerks' offices within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, comparable cities to our size, they have far more staff. So for example, we only have 2 people in the city clerk's office. We used to have 5, so it's down 3 to 2. And if you look at Scranton, Allentown, Lancaster, they all have anywhere from 3 to 4 in their office. So we have the smallest. So the budget for the city clerks will go from $156,000 down to $130,000. So again, we are saving the taxpayers of Wilkes-Barre $30,000. Next question.
Please state your name and where you're calling from. Hello?
Darrell Smith.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Darrell Smith, Wilkes-Barre.
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
I got a couple questions. It's from the agenda from 2 weeks ago on concerning the golf courses. Now I know that I read a lot in the paper this weekend. There's a lot of different stuff in there. I don't know if it's true or not, but I imagine it is.
Mr. Smith.
Wilkes-Barre Municipal Golf Course up in
Mr. Smith.
Is that owned by the city of Wilkes-Barre?
Mr. Smith, could, call back on public.
Yeah.
Please call back on
And
public
if it is
comments.
owned by the
Right
city
now,
of
we're talking
Wilkes-Barre,
about the
Why
agenda.
hasn't it been sold?
Hello, Mr.
Since
Smith.
It's been losing money for 3 decades.
Mr. Smith, call
They
back.
can't balance your own books, and then you lease the local gym, Hollenbach, downtown, to
Mr. Smith.
Wilkes-Barre Municipal Golf Course
Mr. Smith.
with,
You can't hear me.
yes?
Mr. Smith, call back during public comments. This is about pending legislation. I'll just watch the show some more, and I
You'd
will,
like me to call back during public
and
comment?
I will let
So
you
you'd
know
like
when
me
you
to
can
call
call
back
in,
during
okay,
public
Mr.
comment?
Smith?
Is that what you're saying?
Thank you. Yeah, I'll let you know when you can call in for public comments. Any other calls on
The show.
A Freudian slip.
Freudian slip? I meant YouTube. Any other calls?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, Jerry Lynott with the Times Leader.
Yes, Mr. Lynott.
Good evening. I have a question regarding the H&N investment resolution on the agenda. I'm not clear what you mean by a cloud on the property, for one thing. Can you explain what you mean by a cloud on the property? And is what I recall, the property was sold outright on May 8th, 2018, and the purchaser agreed to these repurchase options. So if you take away this leverage, then you leave this an open-ended project with no completion date. So what guarantee do you have that they are pursuing the financing, and also will there be any other reverter clause components once you take this away, or was that it? So.
Is that it, Mr. Lynott?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McCormick will answer your questions.
Yes, a cloud in the title is a legal description, a legal term of art. The problem is that on the deed, there is the repurchase option for the city of Wilkes-Barre, which has been very useful in keeping the developer moving through the process. But at some point, and we've reached this point, fortunately for the city of Wilkes-Barre, the project is ready to be funded. When the company that is going to be lending money to the project comes and going to allow a construction mortgage, they want clear title. The repurchase option on the deed clouds the title and needs to be removed. And there isn't any problem with removing that as long as the construction of the hotel will continue. So there were two options. There was an option A that was in there that has been met timely by the proposed developer, and that was to get zoning approval, which they got in June. They have up to 2 years under option B to get land development. The developer, in exchange for removing the cloud on the title and the deed, will be giving and entering into an agreement with the city, which will move that time period up almost 10 months. They will be under construction under that development contract on or before September 1st of 2021. They will have the construction contract signed and closed by that period of time. And if not, the repurchase agreement still remains after that if they violate that, so the city can control the property if they so desire. I hope that answers the question.
Yep, thank you. Okay.
Now we'll do the consent agenda, which has the new items other than the parking authority, which will be done separately. So we need a motion and a second on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Mr. Belishko,
Second?
Mrs. McBride. Mr. Belishko? The vote.
Yes.
Mr. Marconi?
Yes.
Mrs. McBride?
Yes.
And Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll do the resolution on the parking authority. Need a motion and a second.
Motion?
Motion is Mrs. McBride,
Second.
second by Mr. Belishko. And the vote, Mr. Belishko,
Yes.
Mr. Marconi,
Abstain.
Mrs. McBride,
Yes.
and Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
And we have the first reading on the ordinance for the stop signs. Need a motion and a second.
Motion?
Mrs. McBride. Second on the, that's on the ordinance.
Second.
Mr. Marconi. And on the vote, Mr. Belishko,
Yes.
Mr. Marconi.
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert McBride,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
That takes care of the business.
Good. Anything else on council presentations? Mr. Belishko?
Nothing.
Mr. Marconi?
I'm good.
Good. Mr. Pride?
I would just like two things that I would like to address. I would like to thank the administration for coming to terms with the development agreement for the Sterling property. As someone who advocated for the reverter clause in the original title and deed, I do appreciate that you're continuing to hold the developer's feet to the fire, and I'm pleased with the work that they are going to be doing on the property, as well as the guidelines that they will be adhering to, so I definitely appreciate that. And also, I just want to congratulate Mrs. Payne on her appointment as city clerk. I think that she'll do a great job, and I can't think of anyone more qualified than you with over 20 years of experience, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Your experience speaks for itself, so thank you.
Thank you. Good. Okay. Public discussions. Mr. Smith, if you can see me, please call in now.
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Bob Kalabowski calling back again. And first of all, I'd like to find out, where's Jim Ryan tonight? Why isn't he there? And also, I would like to find out what qualifications does it take to be a city clerk? That's what I want to know. And also, I want to know what's going to be done to Councilman Belusco for using the vulgarity twice a few meetings ago.
Mr.
Against
Mr. Katabaski, you're to address the council as a body, not as individuals.
Okay, I would like to know what the council is going to do as a whole about Mr. Belusco using a profanity twice against a taxpayer and a businessman. As you know, the last meeting when I brought it up, he thanked you for not doing nothing. So I just want to know what's going to be done. And as I want to remind you, when I used the vulgarity that a councilman used, I was almost drug out in handcuffs. So I want to know if you're going to do any kind of reprimand about him. And you didn't answer the question, Tony. Was it illegal for those council or for those people in the city clerk's office to be getting overtime? You didn't answer that. I think it should be answered. And like I'm warning you now, mark my words, this is going to be another Jimmy Hayward situation. As soon as Kathy gets a year in, I hope I'm wrong, she'll retire and walk out of there with a pension of probably like $50-some thousand a year. And for you to sit there and try to buffalo the taxpayers that you're saving the money, how do you say you're saving money, saving all this money when you're giving her a raise of over $400 a week? For that, she should be able to clean the city hall too. I mean, how could you possibly give somebody a $400 a week raise when there's probably other people that could be more qualified, but like it's this political privilege that nobody else is getting an interview. You're not posting the job. And yeah, she's been there for 29 years. Well, that's great. But what were the qualifications? Why isn't somebody else given a chance? So when you sit there and say how you're saving money, we were saving money. Beth wouldn't have took $42,000 a year $42,000 last year. And Mr. Belusco.
Mr. Katabaski, again, stop it with the personalities.
It's not a personality. I'm just.
You address the council body as a whole. Please listen to the rules.
I want the city attorney to warn you that you can't interrupt me on this is my freedom of speech. And I'm just trying to point out how much money this council's costing the taxpayers with these individuals you're taking the buyout, Mike's taking the health care, and Beth's taking the health care. It's ridiculous. So don't tell us how you're saving money. What the mayor saved us, you people already absorbed. And yet you sit there and talk about how bad you feel for that poor lady on whatever street it is living on $800 a month, and look what you people are doing. That's why the city's going to end up in Act 47. It's going to act up in Act 47 because of what you're doing. And I know, I just don't understand how you people think. If this was a business, you people would all be fired. I mean, I pointed out how it's costing us, $200,000 a year for all the council people that use their part-time service towards the full-time pension? And I sound like a broken record, but it's all true. It's all true, every ounce of it. So I want you to answer my question. Why wasn't this city clerk's position put up for bid? What about what was done with Mr. Belusco with his vulgarity? I want to know what you're going to do about all this. And Tony, when you needed all of us a couple years ago when you ran, you were the darling of everybody. Now all of a sudden, boom, like what I have to say and other people have to say, you don't care. So I want an answer. What were the qualifications and why you didn't just lower this thing why do we have to give her $20,000 a year? It's absolutely a slap in the face to the taxpayers. It's actually sickening. And I would like the city attorney, whoever's there, to sit down with you people and warn you about how you treat people, hanging up on them and stuff. I have a freedom of the right to talk. And it seems when I'm hitting you on the nose with your health care buyouts and stuff, you try to shut me up. And I think Mr. Belusco should be reprimanded for what he said to that taxpayer. So I want to wait. I want to hear my answers on why you're doing this stuff. And don't tell us you're saving us money. What the mayor saved us, you took, and you're wasting it all. This thing should have been put up for bid and for somebody else to maybe do it a lot cheaper, $20,000 a year raise. Nobody gets a $20,000 a year raise, especially in a city
All right,
that's
Mr.
dying. Our
Katabaski, your
city
5
is
minutes
dying.
is up, Mr. Katabaski. Okay, overtime was not illegal. Mr. Belisco has apologized. And again, we are saving $30,000. We have reduced the salary of the city clerk by $10,000, the assistant city clerk by, actually, it's $12,000, and saving up to over $10,000 in overtime. So it's well over $30,000 that we're saving the city. Another question?
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Jim Burden, Wilkes-Barre.
Yes, Mr. Burden.
Yes, I'm calling in about the overtime. Now, everybody's talking about this overtime, but nobody's talking about how come we're paying everybody that's employed by the city overtime 1 hour a day. Could you explain that to me? Okay? Explain that to me, why people that work for the city get paid every day 1 hour for eating lunch. Okay? Now, explain that to me. I need that answer. Second, okay, East Northampton Street, going down East Northampton Street, there's potholes starting from Wilkes-Barre Township all the way through. Now, you have an artesian well or a pipe leak coming out of Park Ave. That's been there for a couple of years. Everybody drives up and down it. Do something about that. Get on PG and W about that. Now, the next thing I have to say is about, you're talking about the street cleaning. For years, we had a cop going in front of them with the siren, and then we had a cop behind them writing out the tickets. Now we have parking enforcement. Why aren't they writing out the tickets for people not moving their vehicles? Now let's get with the program, start writing out the tickets, having the cop going through and blowing the siren. They don't come out to move it, ticket it. So can you answer me with all them questions?
Yeah, we will. Yeah, any more questions, Mr. Burden?
No, I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Your answer to, their overtime is not paid to city workers who go for lunch. East Northampton Street is always in the works. Do you want? East Northampton Street will be paid by the state, by PennDOT. It's on the schedule.
To be paid by the state, by PennDOT. It's a PennDOT road.
Okay.
When we can, we patch it, but it's really a PennDOT, so they're scheduled to be paid that.
Okay, so Mr. Burden, it's scheduled to be repaved East Northampton Street. And street cleaning, they are going to consider having the cars with signs the day before to move them. And I'm sure they will also implement a strategy to ticket those cars that are not moved when the street will be cleaned. Any other calls?
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, Jason Carr again from, I'm in Mount Bethel, Pennsylvania. Mr. Chairman, I would like you to confirm, someone on council who you may know told me that the new city clerk is going to be retiring at the end of the year. Is that something that you can confirm for the public? Secondly, when will the assistant city clerk's job be posted and advertised, or has that been determined already as to who or what insider is going to receive that? And I was not aware that Councilman Belisco apologized. Can you direct me as to where that happened, and where that happened, and where I could find the apology? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. City clerk is not retiring at the end of the year. I think if we knew if that was the case, we wouldn't have moved forward on it. So we have no idea when Ms. Payne will retire. The assistant city clerk job is posted according to the 310 union rules. So that it's in their, the ball is in their court right now to have it bid to unions. And Mr. Belusco apologized right here in City Council to us. Next question.
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Kathy, this is Bob Kalabowski again. Hey, I was just wondering if you could mention to the administration there when they're speaking, if they could speak into the microphone because I can't hear them.
Okay, Bob.
Thank you.
Any other calls?
Not yet. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Sam Troy, Wilkes-Barre.
Go ahead, Mr. Troy.
First of all, a few things on my mind. First of all, I'm not entirely satisfied with the situation with the city clerk appointment either. I would like some more facts from Mr. Brooks or whoever, how we're saving money. It's not that, I think Kathy Payne is very capable, but whether you deserve this, Mrs. Payne, not you don't deserve, you do deserve it. What can the city afford this is always the bottom line whenever there are new appointments or raises given out to people, or promotions such as the fire department. I'm not singling the city clerk's position out, but I think more has to be revealed there. I'm a little confused about that. Second of all, I want to thank the mayor personally for giving the 30-day extension. I personally asked him for that for the city property taxes. That does help to some degree to diffuse a terrible financial situation for a lot of people in the city, as you know, who are struggling, not just to make ends meet, but to even put food on the table. And I think I did ask the mayor. I know it's pushing the envelope, but if the mayor is in attendance or if he's listening to this, I would hope that somehow the people could get another 0.5% or 1% discount who pay it by the April 3rd deadline. Maybe adding 1% would certainly help in these trying financial times when people, as I said, are struggling. I would also like to broach a couple other subjects. One is bicycle safety. As the weather is now turning warm, people are going to spend more time outdoors. I don't know if council members are aware of this, and I think they should be if they're already not. I think it was last fall, we had a terrible tragedy on Wilkes-Barre Boulevard where a bicyclist was killed by somebody there, a motorist, and we need to raise people's awareness of bicycles, not just there are a couple of signs up, I know, on River Street, share the road and that sort of thing, but it doesn't go far enough. I think we've got to act, the city has got to act more responsibly, put up more signs, maybe do a feasibility study, God forbid, put some money into that, instead of personnel promotions, et cetera, to launch a study of maybe putting a bike lane certain areas of the city. I'm not saying every street, but obviously some streets, there was such a proposal years ago, I don't know what happened to it. But I think we're going to prevent more, injuries and disasters if the city could take positive steps in that direction by creating more safety for bicyclists and pedestrians. I saw a pedestrian get hit by a car and lose half of her leg, but I know that was a question of a person fleeing police. I know that's an exception. But pedestrians have to have more leeway in the city, especially the downtown area. I think that signs have to put up. Maybe a committee has to be formed to achieve that end. Also, one more thing, if I have the time, I want to promote the idea of a taxpayer relief fund. Now, all these years, people working for the city, the unions have created enough leverage where they've gotten promotions, but increases in full benefit packages for employees. And the taxpayers, never had too much recourse except our 5 minutes allotted to every council meeting to complain. And I think it's about time that people working for the city maybe make a small donation into a taxpayer relief fund to be given out to people who deserve it at some point when they're gonna pay their taxes and these increases in sewer and, recycling fees that are coming up. That would only be, accessible to people who need it, obviously, so details could be worked out. But I would like the unions, maybe the mayor, to put that forward to the union and see what happens. Okay, they wouldn't have to be compelled to contribute to it, but, I mean, if it's possible, that would be great, but at least to think about that. So, if possible, I'd like to see some reaction by council members on those ideas. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Troy. I just want to correct Mr. Troy regarding the unfortunate incident where the woman lost her leg in an accident on Northampton Street. The police ended the chase far, far before that unfortunate accident happened down on Northampton Street. It was not the result of a police chase. That was erroneous reporting on that issue. And as far as bike safety, I couldn't agree more with you, Mr. Troy. I do know there are share the road signs on South and North River Street, and I will bring it up with DPW about perhaps in looking to put some more of those signs around the city. And what else? 30-day tax extension. I don't think you're going to do another extension or any more discounts, but I'm glad he thanked you for that as well. Any comments from my colleagues on that? Okay. Okay.
Good.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. Move to adjourn. Thank you, everyone.